Well, let's now shift our focus to the birthday girl, Sophia Loren, one of the last surviving stars from the golden age of Hollywood, turning 90 today.
At 90 years old, Sophia Loren is defying every expectation, gracefully rewriting what aging looks like. Once the golden goddess of classic cinema, Loren hasn't just preserved her beauty, she's transformed it into something even more powerful. When recent photos of her surfaced, fans across the globe were left in disbelief. How can someone who reigned in Hollywood's golden era still command such presence today? Is it timeless genetics, unmatched poise, or something deeper? One look at her now, and you'll understand why the world still can't look away. Sophia Loren at 90. Sophia Loren, the legendary queen of the silver screen, turned 90 in September. And when you see her today, it's impossible not to gasp in awe. Her radiant presence, that unmistakable sparkle in her eyes, and her statuesque poise make it look as though time itself has chosen to stand still in her honor. Even after 7 decades of stardom, Sophia remains a breathtaking vision of grace and vitality. While many would expect a woman of her age to have retreated from the spotlight, Sophia has no intention of disappearing quietly. She is as committed to her craft as ever, proving that true passion never retires. Her attitude toward aging is as striking as her appearance. When asked back in 2019 about the secret to her youthful beauty, she gave an answer that could only belong to her. "There is no secret. This is the face I was born with. I like to keep myself as I was born. No secrets otherwise." Her philosophy is simple yet profound. Beauty is how you feel inside, and it reflects in your eyes. It is not something physical. Perhaps that is why, even at 90, her gaze still captivates like it did when she first appeared on screen. Sophia insists she doesn't feel her age. "Sometimes when I say I'm 86, I don't believe it. I feel 20, she once said. When she looks in the mirror, she doesn't judge or question herself. "I cheer for myself," she explained. "It's how secure I am, how happy I am. That's what matters." Her beauty rituals are refreshingly down to earth. She swears by olive oil. She eats it daily and even massages it into her skin. She uses mint leaves to ease under-eye circles and never skimps on hydration. Most endearing of all, Sophia still enjoys her pasta and refuses to deny herself simple pleasures. Her career has included unforgettable films like Marriage Italian Style, The Life Ahead, Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow, and It Started in Naples. In recent years, she has worked closely with her son Eduardo Ponti, directing her in The Life Ahead and Voce Umana. Her older son, Carlo Jr., has become a celebrated conductor, a fact that fills her with maternal pride. "When people congratulate me on my family, I feel so proud," she has said. Despite all she has achieved, Sophia remains unstoppable. "I don't want to think about legacy. I want to think about my next movie," she told Deadline in 2024, her secret, never having a plan B. "You take a deep breath, push on, and find the right solution because you have no choice but to move forward," she explained. At 90, Sophia Loren is not just a living legend. She is a stunning reminder that true beauty and purpose never fade. It is very rare to see a nonagenarian so active and looking younger. What was her childhood like? Was she born with a silver spoon? Or was it something totally different? Let's find out. A childhood forged in fire. Long before Sophia Loren captivated the world with her luminous beauty and unforgettable screen presence, she was simply Sofia Villani Ciccolone. a fragile, overlooked little girl born in Rome in 1934. Her arrival wasn't marked by joyful celebration, but by the quiet sorrow of her mother, Romilda Villani. As the hospital door clicked shut behind them, Romilda knew her life, and her babies, would be nothing like the glittering Hollywood dreams she once cherished. Romilda had once been a woman of striking beauty, with features so arresting that people compared her to Greta Garbo. She longed for the silver screen, to be draped in glamorous gowns and serenaded by the applause of adoring audiences. But those ambitions crumbled the moment she fell for Riccardo Ciccolone, a man with an easy charm and a heart that would never truly belong to her. When Romilda became pregnant, Riccardo abandoned her without hesitation, leaving her to face scandal and poverty alone. He returned briefly, long enough to father another daughter, Maria. But his selfishness knew no limits. He refused to sign Maria's birth certificate, denying her even his name. Decades later, when Sophia had become a global icon, she had to purchase the legal right for Maria to be recognized as a Ciccolone. Sophia's childhood was woven from equal parts hunger and humiliation. In the wreckage of war-torn Pozzuoli, she lived with nearly 10 relatives crammed into one dilapidated room. Every night, they pressed their bodies together to keep warm, their breaths mingling with the damp air. There were days when the only meal was a single potato, divided among many. Once, in an act of desperation, Romilda filled their drinking jug with water drained from a car radiator so her daughters wouldn't perish from thirst. The Second World War made their struggle even more unbearable. Bombs rained down from the sky, shaking their walls and shattering any illusion of safety. One day, a shard of flying shrapnel struck Sophia across the chin, leaving a scar that never faded. To other children, she was Toothpick, Little Stick, or even crueler names like the Ugly Girl. She grew up hearing she was too scrawny, too awkward, too plain. Even her wet nurse declared she was the ugliest baby she'd ever seen. Yet beneath the bruises of hardship, rejection, and ridicule, a spark glowed stubbornly in Sophia's heart. No amount of hunger or unkindness could fully extinguish her determination. This small, fragile girl, who seemed so unlikely to rise above her circumstances, carried within her the fierce will that would one day make her one of the most beloved actresses in cinema history. Many have not stopped wondering how the poor girl who was struggling to survive grew into such remarkable beauty. Let's dig into the details of the transformation that changed everything. Beauty as survival. At just 14 years old, something quietly extraordinary began to unfold in Sophia's life. The frail, hollow-cheeked girl who once blended into the background was transforming before everyone's eyes. Her body, once so slight and overlooked, began to blossom with graceful curves that turned heads and stirred whispers. The same people who had mocked and dismissed her were now captivated. She was no longer invisible. Instead, she seemed to glow with a radiance she didn't fully understand. But for Sophia, this sudden beauty wasn't about vanity or the thrill of admiration. It was about sheer survival. Her childhood had been marked by grinding poverty and shame over her illegitimacy. Every day felt like a struggle to keep hope alive. Her mother, driven by desperation to secure a better life for her daughter, urged Sophia to enter local beauty contests. They couldn't afford fine clothes, so one of her first pageant dresses was stitched together from pink curtains. The fabric might have been humble, but when she stepped onto that stage, she carried herself with quiet dignity. She wasn't simply chasing a sash or trophy. She was pleading for an escape, praying for any door to open. It was during one of these competitions that she met Carlo Ponti, a well-connected film producer who was decades older married, and already a father. To an insecure young Sophia, Carlo represented more than influence. He was the first man who looked beyond the stigma of her birth. He didn't see a poor, frightened girl from Naples. He saw a spark, an untapped brilliance in her tentative smile and downcast eyes. Carlo believed in her in a way no one else had, and he began guiding her toward a future she never dared dream was possible. With his encouragement, she began transforming who she was, starting by changing her name. From the shadows of an ordinary past, she created the iconic stage name Sophia Loren. As she landed her first film roles, the gossip never stopped. In traditional Catholic Italy, her love affair with a married man caused a firestorm of outrage. The press wasted no time in labeling her the other woman, painting her as a daring seductress who brazenly challenged the moral values cherished by the country. Despite the scandal, she held her head high and refused to let the judgment break her spirit. But Sophia refused to be crushed by gossip or shame. She had fought too hard to retreat into the shadows again. Determined to prove she was more than a cautionary tale, she poured herself into her craft. By 1953, her leading role in Aida began to turn skeptics into admirers. The following year, her performance in The Gold of Naples finally silenced many critics. Sophia Loren had not only survived, she was blazing her own path to stardom, determined to show the world she was worthy of respect, love, and success. Sophie's struggles seemed to pay off, as she was able to rise in the movie industry despite the challenges. Let's delve into the details of her ascension to Hollywood royalty, stardom and scandal. In 1956, Hollywood came calling for Sophia Loren with an offer that would change her life forever. A groundbreaking 5-picture contract with the powerful Paramount Studios. Practically overnight, Sophia was transported from being Italy's beloved starlet to a glamorous figure lighting up movie screens around the globe. She soon found herself acting opposite some of cinema's most admired leading men. In Houseboat, she shared the spotlight with the suave Cary Grant, while Desire Under the Elms paired her with the intense and talented Anthony Perkins. It was clear she had transcended the boundaries of European cinema and become an international phenomenon. Yet, behind the glittering success, shadows were never far away. In 1957, at the height of her fame, Sophia and the influential film producer Carlo Ponti, her mentor and love, secretly married in Mexico. Their union, however, triggered a scandal of enormous proportions. Italian authorities denounced the marriage as bigamy since Ponti's previous marriage had not been annulled. As the story exploded in the press, Sophia's carefully built reputation teetered on the edge of ruin. For nearly 10 years, she and Carlo became virtual exiles, locked in legal battles and subjected to relentless public judgment. Unable to return freely to Italy without risking prosecution, they spent years shuttling between countries, waiting for the storm to pass. Throughout this turbulent chapter, Sophia also faced personal trials that tested her heart as much as her endurance. While filming Houseboat, Cary Grant, already captivated by her beauty and spirit, fell deeply in love with her. He went so far as to ask her to marry him. Although she felt affection and admiration for Cary, she ultimately remained faithful to Carlo Ponti, the man who had believed in her talent long before Hollywood ever took notice. Even so, she later admitted that Cary's proposal was something she never fully forgot, a tender what if that lingered quietly in her memories. Despite these pressures and temptations, Sophia's dedication to her craft only grew stronger. In 1960, she took on what would become the defining role of her career in Two Women, portraying a mother struggling to protect her daughter amid the horrors of war and the trauma of sexual violence. For Sophia, this performance wasn't merely acting. It was a raw confrontation with her own childhood experiences of poverty, fear, and resilience during wartime Italy. Her authenticity and heartbreaking intensity electrified audiences and critics alike. When she stepped onto the Academy Awards stage to accept the Oscar for Best Actress, she made history as the first performer ever honored for a non-English-speaking role. In that moment, she silenced every critic who had dismissed her as just another pretty face. She proved she was an artist of extraordinary depth and courage, someone whose life and work defied every stereotype. Sophia Loren's journey was far more than a fairy tale of stardom. It was a testament to her unshakable spirit, her loyalty, and her refusal to be defined by scandal or reduced to mere glamour. As Sophie rose to stardom, approaching the peak of her career, she battled with some personal challenges. What happened to her? Let's unravel her bittersweet experience of trials as she soared in her career. Trials, triumphs, and the high cost of love. Sophia Loren's career soared to dazzling heights throughout the 1960s and well beyond, as she captivated audiences around the world with unforgettable performances in films such as Marriage Italian Style and Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. These roles didn't just make her a star, they turned her into a living legend of cinema. Her beauty, charisma, and undeniable talent seemed to place her on a pedestal far above ordinary life. But behind all the glamour and applause was a woman who carried her own share of heartache. Fame could not shield Sophia from the cruel blows of personal loss. She suffered several miscarriages, each one leaving her feeling as if a part of her spirit had slipped away forever. In interviews, she spoke of how these tragedies nearly broke her, describing the emptiness that followed as a darkness she could hardly endure. At last, after years of longing and grief, Sophia welcomed her two sons, Carlo Jr. and Eduardo, into the world. To her, becoming a mother was the most profound and rewarding role she had ever known. No award or standing ovation could compare to the joy of holding her children in her arms. She often said that motherhood gave her life its deepest meaning and healed wounds nothing else could touch. Yet even as she found happiness in her family, she was forced to confront moments of fear and humiliation. One of the most disturbing episodes occurred on the set of A Countess from Hong Kong, where she worked alongside the famously unpredictable Marlon Brando. During a scene, Brando suddenly lunged forward and bit her lip so hard that he drew blood. The pain was sharp, but Sophia refused to let it break her composure. She didn't scream or burst into tears. Instead, she straightened up, fixed her gaze on him with quiet fury, and said in a low, steady voice, "Never do that to me again." In that moment, she showed a strength that no camera could ever fully capture. Public adversity followed her again years later. In 1982, Sophia was dragged into the harsh glare of scandal when she was sentenced to 30 days in prison over a tax dispute. The media swarmed around her, eager to document every moment of her disgrace. Photographers snapped endless pictures as she entered the prison gates, determined to humiliate the woman who had once seemed untouchable. But Sophia refused to stay defeated. After serving 17 days behind bars, she emerged wearing a crisp, elegant white suit, her head held high. Her posture was unbowed, her expression calm and resolute. Where others might have hidden from the world, she faced the cameras head-on, silently telling everyone that no fall, however public, would define her. The world had watched her stumble. With quiet defiance, she let them witness her rise again, stronger, prouder, and more human than ever. As an active woman in her 90s, with several works to her credit in Hollywood, what legacy is she leaving? Let's delve into the details of Sophia's legacy as it stimulates the dedication of the younger generations. The enduring flame. Sophia Loren never truly stepped away from the spotlight. Even in her 80s and 90s, when most people would have long retired, she remained active and passionate about her craft. She starred in The Life Ahead, a touching film directed by her own son, Eduardo Ponti. In it, she played a Holocaust survivor who forms an unlikely bond with a young immigrant boy. Critics praised her portrayal as both haunting and luminous, a remarkable final flourish in a career built on fierce determination and extraordinary talent. These days, Loren makes her home in Geneva, Switzerland, where she is surrounded by memories of a life fully and fearlessly lived. Her walls are adorned with treasured art and mementos from decades in the public eye. Photographs of her with everyone from Cary Grant to Marcello Mastroianni, gowns she wore to the Oscars, and awards that once seemed like impossible dreams to a poor girl from Naples. In 2023, she suffered a devastating fall that left many wondering if this would finally slow her down. But true to her nature, she faced the long road of rehabilitation with the same iron will that once carried her from the rubble of World War II to the heights of Hollywood royalty. Her personal fortune, estimated at more than $100 million, is not just a measure of wealth. It's a testament to her unyielding spirit. Every elegant dress, every glittering piece of jewelry, every carefully chosen painting in her collection tells part of her story. It is the story of a woman who endured the heartbreak of poverty, the loss of loved ones, and the relentless pressures of fame, and transformed each wound into proof of her resilience. Sophia has always believed that a woman's greatest beauty comes from within. She famously said, "Nothing makes a woman more beautiful than the belief that she is beautiful." Her life has embodied this truth over and over again. Whether she was dazzling on screen in Two Women, for which she won an Oscar, or raising her family far from the Hollywood circus, she radiated confidence and grace. But Loren is far more than a cinematic icon. She is an inspiration to generations of women who have been overlooked, underestimated, or broken by life's trials. She is living proof that you can rise from nothing, stand tall in a world that tries to shrink you, and claim your own place in history. Even now, as she approaches a century on this earth, Sophia Loren remains a symbol of timeless beauty and unshakable strength. Her journey is a reminder that no matter how difficult the path, no matter how heavy the burdens, the human spirit is capable of extraordinary triumph. And that belief, perhaps more than any award or fortune, is her greatest legacy. So, what do you think about Sophie Loren's stunning look at 90? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.